The first ever Olympic Games. What that was, of course, by the way, it was a white building. It was Lucifer White Star Line concrete, by the way, if you must know. If you want to know about it, that's what it was. I believe I had a cheese empire, and it was back in the wooden ship days. But I had a cheese empire. I think I might have had some steamships. But basically, it was back then, and I built my first fake stone building, concrete. It was Lucifer white concrete. And if you see it, the recipe for it, I believe, is seashells. And well, it's because I had a fish, I had a seashell, a oyster company, basically, and a fish company. And I had all these leftover seashells. And one time I said, why don't you throw them in the oven and see what happens? Let's cook them up, let's bake them or something. Anyway, and they found out it turned into concrete or whatever. They're playing around with them, and I think well maybe they used to cook them or something like that, and create. I'm not exactly sure exactly how it came about, but anyway though. It changed into concrete, and they started playing around with it and stuff. So I used a whole bunch of seashells, and I think I actually even had to buy some other fishing companies or something like that. And so I bought all the seashells basically from them. And back then, people used to just throw away the seashells and didn't really know what to do with them. Just like they were actually considered a waste product back then. So I was doing quite well, and so I spent all this money and I had this this building built, and we were all it's stone, we carved it ourselves. But what they had done actually is taken some I think they used some clay or something, but we formed it up basically. There were these big clay forms basically, and they let them bake in the sun, and then they poured the concrete. And we messed around with it, I think, like that. Anyway, it was actually first done in year 30 or something like that, or year 5 or something like that, from zero, basically. The beginning of your calendar is pretty much the beginning of Lucifer White Star Lines, because I started paying people to keep track of the dates and the date. So basically, the first Olympic Games was we showed off my first building or whatever, and I arranged to have a big party thrown and stuff like that. And I think there was like some sort of I used to do stuff like game hunting or something like that, where you go out and you hunt for your own. It's basically it was in a big pen or whatever like that. It was like a couple hundred acres or something like that out in the back, and people could take. It was a gun thing, I think. Actually, you could take a gun or something, or a bow, and you could go, and for like a pittance or something like that, you could go shoot your own animal, and then they would cook it up for you or something like that. It was some gimmick like that basically, but it was documented in year 390 or whatever. But it actually started in year 30 or something like that, and it's the first Olympic Games or whatever, what they call the first Olympic Games, which is basically just a big party where people got drunk. Anyway, they caused a riot later on, and they burned down the town or something like that. There was a wooden city by there, and I had concrete, and I had my first fake stone building and some other stone and some other buildings that I spent a lot of money to have put up. And they weren't really all that hard, It needed more rebar or something, or the rebar expanded inside the concrete, so it busted up or something like that. I forget exactly, but we redid it later on, though, of course, and rebuilt the building because we had done so well. Like I say, I was back then, and we were doing really well, and we were selling all this fake stone, I called it. But it's year 390 or so. They got a picture or a film of it, basically, and basically it's an aircraft flying by, and took a picture of it. But it looks like a model or something like that. I don't know, but it's an actual picture. Anyway, from year 390, and because see, if you put a picture on film, it'll fade and stuff. So. But I knew that my stuff was going to be historical record and all that other stuff, so I paid for the aluminum for the brass, or not brass. I mean the silver backing on the photographs, so the photographs would stay. And plus they had the plates. Anyway, somebody broke in and busted up all the plates, but some of the silver plates with the photos on them kind of survived because it's etched into them or whatever. Anyway, and those kind of survived, and we sold them, and we made money from that too. So some of them kicked around for a couple hundred years or whatever, a couple thousand years, and they were supposed to be. I saved all my glass plate photographs, every time they would take a picture of any of my old building projects, I would have them take a picture, and then I'd have them save the glass plates inside this big building. And the fire, I think, melted some of them or something like that, but they saved some of them. So I mean, there's thousands of pictures and thousands of silver back plates, and I think Nixon or somebody broke in there, was selling them off or something like that. And I mean, they're historical. They're thousands of years old, basically. To the point where the glass was actually starting to degrade or something like that because they're so old. A couple thousand years old. But anyway, and they had to be transposed or something like that. But they're really, really high quality photographs. And I tried to get the big out still, so you get the whole background and stuff. I mean, I tried to ask them to do that, and also asked them to do the silver plates and all that, and etched it and all that. But the first Olympic Games, yeah. Hi! That was Lucifer White Star Lines, actually, concrete. That's one of the beginning of the main day of Lucifer Star Line. Lucifer Star. Me. So around year 300. Anyway, Indians were around there and stuff like that, and all kinds of different people and groups, and we were all just hanging out, doing stuff, messing around, building and stuff. So, and that's the first time my fake. That's not real. That's not really stone. It just looks like stone. It's actually concrete, seashells. Like I said, I owned a whole bunch of fisheries, and so I like all the big fishing companies were mine basically. I actually had to buy fishing companies just so I could get all the oysters from them. Anyway, or I ended up buying them because I was getting their waste oysters, and then I bought the things and upgraded the fishing companies to something better. Anyway, though, we sold a bunch of fake stone buildings, concrete buildings. Basically, it's white concrete, White Star, Lucifer White Star concrete. So yeah, but it was back in the day. Anyway, and then we did the first Olympic Games because I had a cheese company and some other stuff and a whole bunch of fishing boats. But that's how the first Olympic Games got started. It actually started around year 30. 030. 0030. So, anyway, yeah. Anyway, I mean, I remember year 5, basically. I mean, that was a long time ago. But yeah. And it was a good time, really. I mean, concrete was going up everywhere and all this and other stuff. And we come a long, long ways from then. But a lot of stuff's happened, but yeah.